Okay, let's start the last session of this online training. Welcome you again, all, and I hope that you are still in the mood to listen to the discussion and to the exchange of knowledge we just started some time ago. Now, today, I would like to recap a little bit what we have seen and what we have learned during the last sessions. First, we were talking about sustainability in general, discussing the environment, the social and the economic dimension, and lately the governance, focusing on the needs of the present to make the future generations also more able to meet their needs. Can we have the next one? We were discussing a lot also the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and also listening to all the aspects and all the details of the SDGs and how to implement the SDGs also. Maybe the next. And we were discussing also the new urban agenda and all the aspects mentioned in the new urban agenda. No one left behind, integrated approach, also the accessible housing aspects, etc. So all these documents are online, and you are able to download this. The next slide, please. And we were discussing all the aspects of multi-scalar planning, all the aspects of governance related to regional, city, and local implementation and local responsibilities and local aspects. Yes, the next one. So what are the key messages? And these are the keys, the key aspects you should also, your takeover, you should take with you. We were discussing the collaboration and the open innovation across scales, and we saw that it is really essential for everything, so including all the citizens, between the citizens and the global dimension. We were discussing also that, and we were explaining that most of the solutions are already there, and all the problems we are discussing, we know everything. So there is no need to repeat. There is no need to reinvent the wheel. We simply need to identify and make it happen. Cities are lively and dynamic. So we should be able to plan. And I think that we learned also during the last sessions how to plan and how to better plan cities. About the experimentation and innovation, we know that they are key if we want to implement the sustainable development. And success also cannot be measured only in financial terms. It requires also a balance between the different dimensions. So these are the key messages we can see, and maybe you could, these are the takeaways you got during the last sessions. So I think that, of course, we mentioned that several times. We have a lot of materials for all of you, and those materials are included in the online presentation. So we have all the articles from the reviews, from ISOCARP reviews. We have the Congress papers, but we have also several interviews and recorded presentations. What we were presenting, what we were including in the presentations, this is only a short piece of all the interviews we were recording. So the last recorded interview presentation of Nicholas Yu, for example, is 17 minutes long. and it's not only the 3 minutes we were presenting you. So please have a look at it, and this is another takeaway from this. I would like to ask Pascaline.
So thank you very much for all these organizing this training and for these excellent sessions. There has been a lot of content going on in these 4 sessions. And here are some key conclusions from my side, but we can, of course, discuss further. They are based on the presentations, but also in the questions, which were really active in the chat room. My first comment would be that sustainable development, urban development and planning need to address real challenges. And it was repeated today, there is no one-size-fits-all solution, no real easy top-down solution. Mayors and cities are key to understand the needs in cooperation with the local population, and only the decision maker, local decision makers and the local population, together with the experts, can apply sustainable solutions. And also, one remark will be, maybe we should stop looking at successful centers. When we have examples, it's also Paris, Jakarta, Surabaya, but the comments of Chua reminded us that there are also other types of urban settings, for instance, urban settings dispatched over different islands, which also need solutions. And this is why the CRIC project has selected 10 pilot cities which are spread across Indonesia. So it's not going to address always the successful centers. And we've seen it today with the case of Madrid. Economy is very important, but it's also vulnerable to changes. And it's important for cities to integrate a sustainable use of resources, to develop patterns and resilient patterns, integrating also the informal sector towards economic resilience, as we have seen in the case of COVID-19. Cities are not isolated islands. They work and they are interdependent, and the decision-making needs to take into account the communities, but also the surroundings, the resources, the ecosystems, the marine fisheries, if you are in an island, but also to integrate national and regional policies. And this makes the whole complex setting of governance where there is no easy solutions. Climate policies are key in developing sustainable development and in addressing the current challenges. And there is no easy policy choices, and that was maybe one of the takeaways from the questions. The decision makers, they will need to choose sometimes between developing first inclusion, modernization, prosperity, or protection, disaster resilience. That was the question, for instance, of the riverbanks and for the informal settlements. And these difficult choices, no experts can give easy solutions. It's all about, again, in the hands of the mayors, the cities, and the local communities together with the whole national governance. We have learned also, and that was very interesting, that the cities will need indeed to protect, adjust, and sometimes even retreat from areas in the case of floodings, which has been identified in the pilot cities as one of the main problems. And in this case, it's interesting to link it with this new idea of master plans, which need to be adaptive to changes, rapid changes, and also sometimes to initial mistakes. In addition to that, we need to keep an eye open on very interesting large-scale initiative, for instance, as the city of Copenhagen, which is going to become low carbon in the horizon of 2030. So that are going to be very interesting cities to follow on. Cities also need to create a good, healthy living environment with housing, safe areas where no one is left behind. That was also what we learned in the session this morning. There should be access to the city, access to communities, access to work, employment, opportunities, transportation, walkable areas were also mentioned as important points, and public and open spaces need to be integrated. Now, of course, governance was the most difficult session to grab because this is so complex. And what I will quote is that governance needs to deal with the complexity and to cope with rapid changes, where interdependence is key. So solutions, we were reminded, need to be integrated with also learning from good and less good practices. The real solutions could not be only nature-based, but also based on local solutions, local know-how, local practices, and local knowledge. And well, that being said, as you understand, I've learned a lot during these sessions, both from the presentations and from the exchange. And I look forward in this sense to meeting you all in Samarinda at the end of January 2021 for the on-site training.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Pascaline. I would like to ask now Secretary General of UCLG ASPAC, Mrs. Bernadia Chandradevi Iraviti, to address us also with some words and comments. Please, Bernadia.
Thank you very much. Very good afternoon. Selamat siang. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The first question I want is to ask participants whether you found this training useful or not. If you found useful, please put this thumbs up. And also you put in chatting why you found useful. If you have any feedbacks, please also feel free to write in the chat book. Jadi kalau ada feedback, mohon ditulis juga di chat. Kemudian ditulis juga manfaat dari training ini. I learned also from my team. I joined a little bit yesterday after the opening. I had a chance to also follow the first module, and I found what interesting is that when you did a question or polling survey, there was a question what the CEO mayors want, but interestingly is to see that mayors really wants to have a good team, strong team, more than finance and also more than other things. So this is very interesting because we know that technology is available. We also know that there are so many financial options that cities and local government can access. So what important is to have a good team. We have also a very strong and open bureaucracy in the system, so that what is planned can be implemented. So let me also highlight here some of the points that I learned from this program. One thing that we have to really do differently in terms of planning. We cannot have only issues on infrastructure as our focus, but the focus should be on people, people-centered development, especially in bringing all the aspects of the stakeholders who live in cities to be included in the process. We know that Asian cities mostly, live in informal settlements. More than 50% in Mumbai and many bigger even in other places. So inclusiveness is a key when we make a plan. How can we bring spaces for all the stakeholders to be part of this process is important. The importance of also having people in the center, but what I like to emphasize here, we understand now, by now, I'm sure many participants already, basically, remember what SDGs, what the sustainable development is all about, and understand that. But one thing that we cannot forget is, this is also related to people, because we don't want to see all cities look the same everywhere. Like when I travel, I stay in a hotel. When I wake up, I realize that all the hotel rooms look the same. So why in UCLG we also add one important pillars in sustainable development, which is about culture. It's about culture, it's about people, it's about uniqueness of the people, it's about city soul, city spirit. So it's not just about physical space. It's not just about physical space, but how to make sure that the people live in cities, they are happy. So this is also the importance of safety, the importance also for consensus kind of culture that we also have in many cities in Asia. And we know that every city is unique. You have your own kind of basically risk on climates. We know that cities who are coastal city, you face this sea level high rise, but you also hinterland cities that looking at the forest as your basically your risk, forest fire as your risk. So the solution should be also, of course, we cannot put the same solution that fit for all, but first, I think every city should understand what the risks you have, especially related to climate. And then we also have to understand that bottom-up approach is very crucial here. And mainstreaming these climate actions in all departments is a key. I remember when I was in Japan, there is no new department set up or created for climate resilience or climate adaptation. But rather than creating a task force, a team of people who coordinate with several departments, and they have a certain targets for 30% mitigation reduction or 20% mitigation reductions or greenhouse gas reduction, depending on the vision. So important is that we have to have a vision, long-term vision. We know in Canada, some cities have even 100 years of vision. So it's not the vision of your mayor, because if the mayor change, the vision will change. So how can we build a consensus of the people that the vision of the cities, the future, the cities, what kind of cities we want, depending very much on the people. And we also have not forget the importance of young generation, especially in Asia, where more than 50% or 60%, or even Indonesia, more than 70% a young population. So that says what I see is important. So you should have a very long-term kind of vision as well, not just a short-term vision. And we also understand that many cities looking at economy as the center of everything. And they say that environment is number 2 priority. But this is, I think by listening this, you understand that both can go hand in hand. And even the mitigation and adaptation in terms of economy can be a kind of a double duty intervention. I heard a story from Surabaya. They planted mangrove. Of course, it's good for species, also for fishing, and also part of the local economic development. But in some extent, it can also reduce this, sea rise rates or wave coming from the sea during this high flight. So the other thing that, so basically every city, you as local governments officials, you have to understand what the strengths you have and also what the potencies you have in your city, and of course resources. And of course, it's very clear that climate hazard is cross borders. Climate hazard cannot be stopped by having a territory boundaries. I still remember when I live in Singapore, I also experienced this forest fires pollution that came from Indonesia. And somehow I was a little bit embarrassed since I'm Indonesian that we cannot solve the forest fire even until now, but that happened a long time ago. So it's very important that we have a kind of horizontal kind of a holistic approach, looking at this horizontal coordination. And this is also one limitation in Asia, because there is no kind of territorial development that has been so successful in many, many cities or have not been initiated in many cities. We started with Katamantul in Jogja, that also looking at the territorial development plans, but because of the, certain regulation, then in some extent need to be stopped. So I think we need to change national regulations as well, and also looking at the enabling environment for cities to be able to work on the territorial development, not having a cross-borders only arrangement. I recall one of the initiatives that city in Japan, they work with communities outside their borders for protecting the forest, because they know that under the forest is a water resource for their own city. So in this kind of symbiosis arrangement is very important if we want to go to different direction of having non-conventional type of planning. So landscape-based approach is important. Ecosystem-based approach is also extremely important, especially in the situation like now. So I think we really need to change the way we plan, not having a conventional type of planning. So there is another thing that maybe I like to highlight here. The importance of rural-urban linkages. I think this is also very much related to what I said, because the border between rural and urban is sometimes very blurred in many cities in Asia. So I think we need to have an integral part of planning, as rural areas provide not only food, but as a cities, you make a plan how many number of people will be living in your cities in the next 50 years, for example, because you can calculate that. Of course, it may not be exactly happening, but important is that how we can have a food resiliency, how can we have also energy resiliency, how can we also have water resiliency. That should already been talked about when we are making plan, but very rare, we don't see that yet, that many cities are not ready, including this. So let me close by saying big thanks to our experts from ISOCARP. Sorry, I cannot mention all the names because most of them are difficult to pronounce. But thank you so much. It has been really a great training program that you gave to us. And I also like to thank all the partners and importantly all participants. As I said yesterday, I'm sure you have been collecting a lot of knowledge, a lot of best practices from Madrid, from Guangzhou on waste management or for others. But you should be able to make a difference in your life, especially in your own capacity, because in Chinese we say long journey start with one step. Long journey start with one concrete step. So if this you can do it, I'm sure you feel that long journey that you will have. You don't realize that it's long. So as working at UCAG ASPAC, we will continue working with cities and local governments, and also including these 10 pilot cities through CRIC programs, climate resilient program funded by EU. This is for 5 years, and I also hope some of you will be able to join us later in Samarinda in January next year. Yeah, let's hope that we can pass through this difficult situation in COVID, and you will be able to do well in the new normal situation in which you take positive aspects of COVID and also looking at the future with a very bright and very positive attitude, and also have optimism in looking at the future. So thanks once again, and wish you all the best, and thanks everyone. And I also like to thank my team, We have here Asi, you already met her. We also have Putra, we have Maria, we also have Hesti. All of these colleagues are working in UCLG. We are ready to serve you in whatever you need. We are also requesting you, if you have any needs related to cooperation with other cities. Many cities in Asia Pacific want to cooperate with cities in Indonesia as well, like Busan, Sejong, Johnson. So many cities want to cooperate with cities in Southeast Asia, including Indonesia, on recovery plans. So if you want to, if you are interested, just write to us. And thank you once again, and stay healthy and remain safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Benadia, for these fantastic words, and thank you for all your help. And we were delighted to develop this training and deliver this training to all of you. And it was really a pleasure to work with UCLG and all the other partners, Pilot for Dev. And then, of course, please stay in touch. Thank you again for listening to us, for exchanging your knowledge, and then we hope that we can work together towards better cities and towards better world for all of us. Thank you so much, and see you in Samarinda in January.